Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let's close this here. Do you know what? I get a lot of messages, right? Not that I'm popular or anything like that, because quite a lot of the time those messages are, you're a racist and you're a xenophobe and you're an Islamophobe and a homophobe. So yeah, I get all of those all the time. But another kind of group of messages that I get a lot are messages from people who on Facebook are scared. They're scared to express their views or to agree with an unpopular opinion because it puts their job at risk, or they don't want to fall out with their family, or whatever. Well, I had a few of them over the last couple of days, and those messages were incredible. They were beautiful messages. And to all of you people, of which I think there were 16, to all of you people who sent me nice messages, long-winded messages with lots to read, telling me why you can't publicly like messages and or any of that stuff, I totally understand, okay? We are still living in a bit of a crazy world. It's like a bloody Bolshevik revolution we're living through at the minute. A very, very mild, soft one. It's not exactly the Red Terror that the Christians faced during Lenin's time, way back when, or any of that stuff. By the way, the Bolshevik genocide that was persecuted against Christians far exceeded the number of Jewish people who died during World War II, was it? I'm no historian, but I read bits and pieces every so often, just to try and educate myself as best as possible. So yeah, I get a lot of people saying, oh, I really agree with that, their message, that's excellent, and I love that. That's great. It's really heartwarming for me and encouraging, because sometimes you feel like you're the only person saying these things, or you're the only person that thinks that way, and then you start to think, am I actually a racist? Am I a Nazi? Am I an Islamophobe? Yes, I am an Islamophobe. Am I any of those, a xenophobe or a homophobe or any of those things? You know, you start to question all that stuff. But we're just the silent majority, and you just get idiots like me who are a wee bit more vocal about it. And that's the thing, you have to be careful. You have to be very, very careful about sharing your opinion. You have to be, not your opinion, but the way in which you word said opinion. If you allow emotions to take over and you start screaming from the rooftops, and just look at Lucy Connolly that time, like she said, now these are her words, by the way, so she said, I wouldn't care, I'm quoting Lucy Connolly here, I wouldn't care if you burned those places down. Now, that isn't inciting violence, in my opinion. How is it? She's saying that she wouldn't care. She isn't directing people and saying, go and do this, go and do that. And the thing is, the solicitors, the lawyers, the barristers during her case who told her to plead guilty, they are very much at fault, I would say. Very much at fault. In fact, they should be investigated. They should be investigated. I think Lucy Connolly is entitled to an exponential amount of damages for what she went through, what she endured, for sharing her opinion. And she wasn't inciting any form of violence at all. So yeah, I can understand, you know, and you do have to be careful in your wording of things. I totally understand that. But the reason for that is that they want you to be scared to speak. They want you to self-censor. That's exactly what they want people to do. So if you're pro, let's go with the Irish. Let's go with the Irish thing. Irish people, you're entitled to a homeland. The people of Ireland are entitled to their ethnic, indigenous homeland, their historical, cultural homeland, which is Ireland. But whenever you say that, you're you know, and if an Irish person says, well, I want to maintain my my ethnicity, you know, with my children and my daughter's children or my son's children or whatever. I want us to all remain ethnically Irish, you know, white-skinned and all these lands, you know, with a shared heritage, shared culture, all that kind of stuff. And whenever you say that, you're immediately a racist. Immediately, you're a racist. None of this makes any sense, by the way. Because if you say, I believe that the Jews are entitled to their own homeland, Israel, then it's well done. Yes, totally agree with that. That's right. Yes, and if you agree, if you support any of that kind of stuff, it's okay for other countries. And if you were to support it for, I don't know, Sudanese men, you know, and say, oh yeah, it's their country, so yeah, absolutely, and you want their kind of lineage to kind of continue, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? But if we voice our concerns about the mass change in our demographic, forced upon us, by the way, that we all voted against multiple times, and everybody I talk to, almost everybody, apart from the odd character, everybody says exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. That they're happy for people to come here, and take part, but not at the expense of the indigenous people. Ireland for the Irish, England for the English, Wales for the Welsh, Scotland for the Scottish, France for the French, Northern Ireland for the Northern Irish, Rathlin Island for the Rathlin Islanders. You know, it's just, what's wrong with any of that? What's wrong with any of that? But they have turned it all, I mean the globalists, I mean the EU, I mean the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, all of these people, anything that is associated with that kind of globalist agenda, who are pushing what is known as the Clergy Plan. That is what's happening. I don't care what anybody says. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Look it up. Look it up. I know that it's difficult to troll through or to trundle through all that shit. Trust me, I know. And if I didn't have the time to trundle through it over the last 10 years, I would never have done it, probably. But it's getting to the stage we all need to kind of wake up, switch on. Otherwise, there isn't going to be a future for your daughter, your son, my daughter to enjoy, because they're going to have this forced multiculturalism and this diversity is our strength. Is it? It's not our strength. Diversity is not our strength. It is not our strength. You ever come up with that bullshit? They are lunatics, okay? Diversity is not our strength at all. Anyway, look, that's my blood pressure sitting at 11 bar, more or less now, in and around the same pressure that's in the tires of this Jeep. Okay, Land Rover. For any of you who are very technical out there and don't like calling Land Rovers Jeeps, I am one of them people, actually, you know. So yeah, anyway, 8 minutes. Wow, if you stayed this long, well done. So yeah, happy Christmas, and we're coming into the new year, so there you are.